All right. What I'd like to do is open up the Board of Selectmen meeting for Tuesday, April 7th, with the time at 7 o'clock. All the board members are present via the virtual meeting, and this has been working well for most of the committees that we've been implementing this since COVID-19. I just want to start off by providing the residents with a phone number, 978-771-0819. Again, 978-771-0819, and we're going to open that up for the residents. Well, why don't we jump right through the agenda here? We're going to start from the tippity top here. So we do have a schedule item for 7 o'clock. However, the schedule item was amusement device, common victual license, and entertainment license application submitted by Green Gem Incorporated, DBA, TJ Callahan's Pub. What we're going to do is table that team. So we did have several abutters that actually wanted to talk through this. And so what we want to do is table this until we meet. But listen, if it happens to be another 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever that might be, we might bring it into a virtual meeting. But the bottom line is the gentleman was nice enough to postpone it, hopefully until we can have a forum and start using town hall again, whatever that might be. And if we can't for whatever reason down the road, we'll simply bring it to the virtual, we'll bring it, in this form of the WebEx forum. That's all. So I would like to have a motion that let's table it indefinitely, but like I said, we'll touch base with the owner week to week, until the dust settles, so to speak. So do I have a motion to table that indefinitely?
Mr. Chairman, before you make a motion,
Yeah, please.
if I can just jump in. If the board could vote to continue the hearing.
Yeah.
Until the board has resumed live meetings at town hall. Or another time that the board determines proper. I think that would cover you.
Okay,
Mr.
perfect.
Chairman?
Thank you, Ms. Montori.
Mr. Chairman, it's Anne Marie Stronach. I'd like to make a motion to continue the device license for TJ Callahan's, doing business as TJ Callahan's, until town hall opens or we have another date that's suitable for the residents.
I'll second
Ms.
it.
Montori. Okay, perfect. I have a motion. I have a second. Any discussion? Okay, so what we'll do is let's do a roll call vote. I'll try to be consistent here with the order. So let's start with Mr. Mark Kratman.
Aye.
How about Mr. Brian Dick?
Aye.
Ms. Anne Marie Stronach?
Aye.
And Ms. Jane Wellman?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Okay, so it brings us to the next order of business, which happens to be residents, but because we're trying to get used to this technology, first and foremost, I guess, Jason, do we have any residents already queued up?
We have no callers yet.
Okay, so let's do this. Just because it's a new format, let's keep the number open and we'll keep the residents portion open. And why don't we do is we'll bounce to the schedule agenda. So what we're going to do is bounce right down to new business. Does anyone have any, for the selectmen, does anyone have any new business to discuss? I'll start with Mr. Mark Kratman.
I have some things, but I'll cover it under my board member reports. I think it's more pertinent there, but thank you.
Okay, fair enough. How about Mr. Brian Dick?
No new business, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Stronach?
No new business, Mr. Chairman.
And how about Ms. Jane Wellman? Uh-oh, do we have our first technical difficulties, Ms. Jane
Sorry,
Wellman?
I muted myself. Sorry, no new business. Oh,
Okay.
I'm looking at the agenda on another page.
Okay, all good, all good. So why don't we, if there's no new business, and again, to Mr. Kratman's point, we can absolutely bring stuff up during board member reports, whatever that might be. So why don't we jump, Mr. Montori, right down to you for the town manager report. We have several items to cover under the town manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First is a COVID-19 update, and I'll be brief. So town operations continue as they have been for the past week or two, where town offices are closed to the public. All town buildings and facilities are closed. Our recreation facilities are closed. Playgrounds are closed to the public. We still are operating and providing service to the residents. Offices are answering phone calls, providing information, accepting applications, providing needed documents. Our financial offices are open. processing any payments, paying bills. The senior center is closed to the public, but the director and Merrimack Elder Affairs are providing Meals on Wheels and transportation. The schools are still providing meals during the week. So we are providing essential services in all of our town departments. DPW has a skeleton crew in, but again, they're answering emergencies, checking pump stations, and providing essential services throughout the day. The current count for positive cases are in the town is 48. 37 of those cases are active and 11 of those cases have recovered. Just to give you an idea of how we are approaching the cases, the town nurse with the assistance of school nurses have a process when we have a positive case in town. They work through MAVEN, which is the Mass Virtual Epidemiological Network that houses all the data for these cases. And there are standard questions and follow-up that they must do. So when there's a positive case in town, and this just gives you an idea of what the town nurse and with the help of the school nurses are doing, they reach out to each of the positive cases that they have initially. They assess the symptoms, and when the symptoms started to determine the isolation period, they obtain a list of contacts in the past 24 hours since the onset, 48 hours since the onset. They input data into the MAVEN system. They call the close contacts to assess if they have what their symptoms might be and the date they last exposure with the positive case. They send an email to the close contacts to give them quarantine guidelines and what to look for symptoms. Follow up on the cases and contacts every few days to document how they're doing into the MAVEN system. And then when the systems are resolved, they discharge the case. So that takes place for each of the positive cases in town. So that gives you an idea how active our town nurse has been and the nurses assisting her from the schools. So that just, I just want to, not just for the board, but anybody listening and the residents, just to know that how much we stay on top of the cases within the community. So we update the cases as they change on the website, so people can go to the website to see the numbers. And if anything drastic happens, I'll let the board know. But that's where we are right now with the COVID update. Maintain the schedule and operations for town offices over the next week or two as we go through what we believe will be the apex of the crisis. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Any questions from the board?
Comment?
Jane has a comment.
Comment?
Ms. Wellman?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Richard. I just wanted to say that I think that the website looks really good. I think there's a lot of resources there for residents and for our businesses. I know a lot of our businesses are struggling right now, and on the website there are all kinds of information for small business loans and links to what the state's put out there. So that's a really good resource, and thank you and your staff for putting that together. And I just wanted to thank our firefighters and our police officers and EMS, the doctors and nurses that live in the community, the truck drivers and the grocery store workers and everybody else who contribute to serving the public right now when a lot of us have the luxury of staying at home and staying safe. A lot of our neighbors don't. So I wanted to thank them. And many of them work for our town and also work for other towns, but live here. So thank you.
Great call out. Great call out. How about the rest of the board? Any other questions for Mr. Montori? Seeing none, Mr.
Richard,
Okay, Mr. Kramer?
I know we're updating that, the numbers on our website. I know we've got a number of people calling, asking about how frequently we update it. And I can't stress more that I would like the residents to come to our town webpage for accurate information. there's a lot of inaccurate information being spread in the community with fear. So if Richard, if you could just, how often are we updating that to give information out to the public?
So as soon as I get information from the town nurse or the health director of a change in those numbers, Janine Tamboli from our office updates the website. It could be in a matter of hours, depending on when we get them. But we do them fairly quickly.
Thank you. I think that's very helpful. And like I said, can't stress more. Hopefully the residents just keep checking out our town webpage. That is the most accurate information to go through. Obviously, you can go through the state level, but if you're looking for information from the town, please continue to go to our town website for the information. Thank you.
Very good. Any other members of the board? Questions? All right, Mr. Montori, what's next? Do believe we're going to talk about the chief of police appointment?
Yes, so Civil Service has sent the list of for the police chief appointment. I am in the process of going through formalizing the process with Civil Service. I'm not sure what the time frame is going to be to conduct interviews. I just need to work that out logistically with everything going on right now. But just for the board to know that I will conduct interviews of the three top candidates. I plan to interview with the Assistant Town Manager, Steve Sadwick, the Human Resource Director, Teresa Belanger, and the Chairman of the Board. Selectmen will join us also, so the four of us will conduct the interviews. I also plan to obviously do a thorough review and background check on each of the candidates and then render a decision. So the process still has a little ways to go, but Civil Service has provided the list and we'll move forward from here.
Thank you, Mr. Montori. Questions from the board?
Richard, could you just give a little bit we had obviously this was done by, we've had like experts come in and interview all the candidates ahead of time. Could you just give a little
Sure.
process on how I know we have the civil service list, but also give a little update on, how the town has paid for this and had experts come in and review all the candidates and go through the list. If you could give us an update on that as well.
Sure. So we hired a firm to conduct an assessment center of the candidates. The firm was a company that does this all over New England, if not beyond. It was an all-day assessment center that had problem-solving exercises for each of the candidates. It had a written exercise for each of the candidates. There were three assessors that were conducting the process who graded each of the candidates and then had a final grade from all of the exercises that they sent to Civil Service. So Civil Service reviewed the process, reviewed the grades, and then developed a list. The assessors were individuals that were in the police, either former chiefs, current chiefs that were involved in the process, and they were not known to any of the candidates or to the town or to myself. It was totally unbiased, totally separate, and they're the ones that ended up grading each of the candidates that developed this civil service list.
Thank you. Thank you for giving us that update.
All right, thank you, Mr. Montori.
Next. Next that I have under my report is just follow up on the annual town meeting. As you know, at the last meeting, the Board of Selectmen voted to move the date of town meeting from May 4th and May 6th to June 1st and June 3rd. It was subject to legislation passing, allowing the board to do so, because under the statute, the authority was given to the moderator to do so, but seeing that we didn't have a moderator, we needed this most recent legislation to pass, giving the Board of Selectmen the authority. That legislation did pass. That legislation was signed by the governor. So the action of the Board of Selectmen at the previous meeting has been validated. Town meeting is officially moved to June 1st and 3rd, and a press release went out from the town clerk's office to that effect. Okay. Next, I have 2 invoices for town council. The first is a town council invoice for February 16th through February 29th in the amount of $3,527.20, and I would recommend approval.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any
Chairman, you should do a-
objections?
You need to do a roll call vote.
Okay, let's do a roll call. I was trying to get cute. Mr. Mark Kratman,
Aye.
Mr. Brian Dick,
Aye.
Ms. Anne Marie Stronach,
Aye.
and Ms. Wellman.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Unanimous.
Thank you. And then there's a town council invoice for March 1st through March 15th in the amount of $3,060. I recommend approval.
So moved.
Second.
A motion, I have a second. Okay. All those in favor, let's start. Mr. Mark Kratman,
Aye.
Mr. Brian Dick,
Aye.
Ms. Stronach,
Aye.
and Ms. Wellman.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well.
Thank you. And then the last thing I have was on the revised agenda. And this has to do with the due date for tax bills and the ability to waive interest or fees for real estate, personal property, and excise taxes, as well as water and sewer utility billing. Legislation that I just mentioned regarding the ability to delay town meeting also included other items in there to assist cities and towns. The legislation was called the Act to Address Challenges Faced by Municipalities and State Authorities Resulting from COVID-19. Within that legislation, it gives cities and towns by vote of the Board of Selectmen the ability to extend the due date for real estate taxes from May 1st to June 1st. It also allows the selectmen to give the treasurer collector the authority to waive any interest or fees on real estate, personal property, excise taxes, and water and sewer utility billing that were due after March 10th, but before June 30th. The legislation was recently passed. We were going through it, and then we finalized some of these items today. That's why the agenda was revised. And if it's okay, I'd like to ask the board if they would adopt these provisions within the legislation that would extend the due date from May for taxes from May 1st to June 1st, and to authorize the treasurer collector to waive any interest or fees on real estate, personal property, excise taxes, water and sewer utility billing due after March 10th, but before June 30th.
Okay, before we take a vote, any questions for Mr. Montori, team?
You're
Is
muted.
May 1st, the bills will be due, will now be due when?
June 1st instead of May 1st.
And we're also voting to delete any late fees for any penalties.
So what the vote would be, it would authorize the treasurer collector to waive any interest or fees on real estate, personal property, excise taxes, water and sewer utility billing.
Great, thank you.
Richard, Mr. Chair, to the town manager, would there be new bills that are going to be sent out to people, or are they just expected to pay their old bills on June 1st, or will there be some sort of notice be sent out to the residents, or?
So we'll put a notice on the website through alerts. There are other ways that we're going to get the word out. It's for the tax bills. The due date for the tax bills are really the only thing that's being extended. All the other bills have their normal due dates. But if people are late paying them, say it's an excise tax that just came out in a recent commitment, but that was after March 10th, the treasurer collector will have the ability to waive fees in interest as long up through June 30th.
Excellent. Thank you for the update on that.
Very good. Any questions from the board? Any other questions from Mr. Montori?
Nope, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the pleasure of the board? This one's a no-brainer in lieu
Yeah.
of the crisis. So what is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, do we have to make this motion exactly here that was sent to us?
I think it would be best to do that, Jane.
Okay, I'll make the motion. I got it up in front of me.
Yeah, and if you can, when you get to the part about waiving interest, just insert in there to authorize the treasurer collector to waive interest and fees.
All right, hold on. An author, okay. Okay. So, in accordance with an act to address challenges faced by municipalities and state authorities resulting from COVID-19, passed by the state legislature and signed by the governor, I move that the board change the due dates for taxes from May 1st, 2020 to June 1st, 2020, and authorize the treasurer collector to waive any interest or fees on real estate, personal property, excise taxes, and water and sewer utility billing due after March 10, but before June 30th.
Second.
Very good. I have a motion. I have a second by Mr. Kratman, so let's do a roll call. Mr. Kratman,
Aye.
Mr. Brian Dick,
Aye.
Ms. Stronach,
Aye.
and Ms. Jane Wellman.
Aye.
The chair votes aye as well, unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's
All
all
right,
I-
Mr. Montori, I think
That's
that's
all I
all
have,
from the,
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Montori you had on your end, correct?
That's it. Thank you.
All right, very good. So I do not believe we have any meeting minutes, so why don't we jump right down to board member reports? Mr. Mark Kratman, kick us off.
Obviously, we haven't really had any meetings. We're planning on hopefully getting together. I plan on trying to get together with my economic development team. But as part of that, today I did a WebEx meeting with the Small Business Association. On the town website, we do have some information. I'm going to work with the town manager, and we're going to try to put additional information up there. The small business loans for businesses in our community, and try to get as much information up there as possible. I'm going to work hard with our economic development team, and we're going to get this community up and running as soon as this crisis is over. We plan on hitting the floor running as soon as this is over. I know there's a lot of businesses struggling, but the town will be behind them, and we will work as hard as we can, work with the state and federal government to help any business that really needs it in this time. You can go to our town website, as I've been stating. Please go there. We'll put as much information as we can up there. That's always the best place to go to. Our town website, as information comes available, we'll put it up there, and we'll have hopefully a link just for all the businesses to go on with any information that's available for them, and try to help them through this crisis. So that's all I have tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. How about Mr. Brian Dick?
Yeah, nothing to add tonight, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Very good. How about Ms. Stronach?
I'd just like to add that Thursday night, the Elementary Building Committee will be having a meeting. We're going to be meeting virtually, and that information is also posted on the website. We will be able to take callers similarly as we have done tonight. So I'm looking forward to updating the committee of the goings-on, because that project is still underway during this crisis. And lastly, I would just like to wish everyone a blessed season as we enter Passover and Easter. And it's unfortunate, but hopefully families will find a way to come together and celebrate those in a way that is meaningful.
Very good. How about Ms. Wellman?
No, Anne Marie, I thank you for that. That was a really nice comment about the high holidays here, Passover and Easter. So thank you for that. No, NIMCOG hasn't met recently. They're sending out warrants, and we send them back by email by mail to sign. The Beautification Committee hasn't met recently. So I just want to acknowledge our businesses, as Mark referred to earlier with the resources that we have, that so many of them are struggling right now. And I'm getting calls and messages from them about what they should do. And I think we have a number of resources on our website, but it's really a tough time. And I know people are working really hard. I'm hoping to get through this period. So thank them for everything that they're doing. And once again, thank our town employees for all that they're doing. That's all.
Okay, thank you. And how about before I conclude here, I don't have much, but I will just say a few parting words here. How about from the residents, Brian? Oh, I'm sorry, Jason and Brian, do we have any residents that called in?
No calls, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so let me conclude, I guess. So we've all been getting a ton of calls here about, you name it. A lot of it is about the economy, taxes, future looking. No one has a crystal ball. I can say this. There's a saying, when the dust settles, the dust is not settled there. I think we're going to, from all reports, the next 10 to 14 days is going to be, it's really going to be pretty telling. So that's how we're taking the approach as the board. And with Mr. Montori, we're trying to get a little bit of ahead. What do we do? What do we not do? What relief will we get from the feds, from the state? And what can we do at a local level? So those are our thoughts. We're having those conversations. And like I said, I think in the next 30 days or so, we'll know kind of where we're at as a community and kind of have a better direction. But I just want to let the community know and the residents know that that's top of mind, with everyone out of work and all that type of stuff. We have a new school going up, a fire station, a DPW, a budget coming up here in July 1. So we're going to put our heads together and work hard when we get through this to ultimately see what we can do for the residents and the community, because we're going to have to. So I just wanted to share that as we conclude. So that's all I had. Mr. Montori, anything on your side before we wrap it up?
No, that is it, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'll look for a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion. I have a second. Let's do a roll call so I don't get in trouble. Mr. Kratman,
Aye.
Mr. Brian Dick,
Aye.
Ms. Stronach,
Aye.
and Ms. Wellman.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thanks a million. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Aye. Thank you.